7 years ago today, I had the honor of signing a bill that forever changed America's school systems. It was called the No Child Left Behind Act. I firmly believe that thanks to this law, more students are learning, an achievement gap is closing, and on this anniversary, I have come to talk about why we need to keep the law strong.
Our education system is in crisis. Parents, students, teachers, administrators, and politicians are worried about how they're going to fix our failing schools.
Let's set high standards for our schools and give them the resources they need to succeed. Let's recruit a new army of teachers and give them better pay and more support in exchange for more accountability.
President Obama, now that we've elected you, please make sure that our students do not get left behind.
Look, I think that the slogan, No Child Left Behind, is a good one, because I don't think we can afford to leave any children behind. But as implemented, the program has not delivered.
If we want to have a federal law that talks about high standards and high accountability, then we have to actually keep the promises to fund it.
The reality is that in our nation's largest urban areas, only half of all students who enter 9th grade will graduate.
That's not right. It's got to be 100% graduation, 100% in academic excellence, 100% in advanced placement. If you don't reach it, it's understandable, but there has to be a belief, there has to be a passion, there has to be an understanding that everyone is in that lifeboat together.
Personally, I think that it's time that the federal government relook at the way that education is funded in this country.
In these tough economic times, the discussion is where this money will come from and how it will be used.
Education has a complicated relationship because it is an important topic on all three levels. Most of us think about education as a real community value, and it's something that communities want and want real decision making about, but there's also a state and federal responsibility to it.
The monies need to come from somewhere. With the present economic situation, I do not see it coming from the state.
Well, I think we need to invest wisely, good to see you, my friend, and do as much as we can to help kids in the classroom. That's really where the focus needs to be. But making sure that we pay our hardworking school teachers as much as we can, and we have attached that to good performance in the classroom. That's what's important.
But here in Florida, our state legislators have been cutting education down to the bone.
If you look at Florida, prior to the cuts that our state legislature has made, Florida was 50th out of 50 in funding public education. So we can't get any lower. But nonetheless, they're cutting the funds from that.
I don't know how we could be proud. How could anybody be proud of the fact that we are now 50th?
Because of the budget cuts directly to the school system, we lost 2 counselors for this school year.
We've also lost an assistant principal. Our classes will become slightly larger.
Kids would actually be able to come in and read in a comfortable environment. It would be packed in here every single morning before school. That doesn't happen anymore.
I mean, this is the first year in school where teachers have actually asked me for extra credit to bring in paper and pencils and hand sanitizer.
Well, I know that, the saddest part is that we go into the bathrooms, they don't even have soap or, tissues to clean your hands with, which, that's just sad. Teachers who are having to buy materials with their own money and, they're not exactly making a lot.
But I think the cuts are going to be deeper and they're going to be more significant as we get into the future.
And at the end of the day, it's really the students that suffer. And I'm not so sure that the parents out there really know how dire the situation is. And I think they should be fighting for their kids' education.
Now more than ever, it is time to protect the rights of our kids, of our teachers, and fight for every single dollar that they deserve.
Save education! Save our schools!
If the cuts continue, yes, it's definitely been a thought to return to the private school sector. Absolutely.
What is the advantage in a low-income area of sending a child to a failed school and that being your only choice? So choice and competition amongst schools is one of the key elements. The charter schools aren't the only answer, but they're providing competition. They are providing the kind of competitions that have upgraded both schools, types of schools. Now, throwing money at the problem is not the answer. You will find that some of the worst school systems in America get the most money per student.
If you keep cutting schools, all you're going to get is a cookie cutter education at the lowest level, and then when it's time to fund it, the politicians will say the following: well, we took off $300 million and you survived. I guess you don't need those $300 million. No, we survived because, in fact, we lowered our expectations and we lowered our ability to provide a quality education. That's what we did. And if your goal, state government, was to funnel off money so it can go into either private or charter money, then you did well because you met your goal.
So why should funding public education be a priority?
If in fact America is going to find its place again into society as a leader, both in service as well as in goods, then they're going to have to rely on the youth of America. And unless you are actually putting money into public education, you in fact are not going to be relying on our youth.
We spend a lot of money on defense, but if we don't have intelligent young adults coming through the ranks, then how are we going to support that? You know, we need to be a strong country, not just with military. We need to be a strong country intellectually, and I think that we need to invest more in that.
Our government spends $390,000 to send one U.S. soldier to Iraq to fight for 1 year. The most we spend here in the United States to educate one student is $20,000.
Education is a long-term investment in terms of economic development. When one is weak, the other cannot be strong.
The fact that every single student in the United States is eligible to receive a free and appropriate education really, I think, is the foundation for democracy.
Plus, your education is something no one can ever take away from you. You can lose your money in the stock market, but they can't take away your education.
If you invest in education, we are investing in the future. And I know it's going to be a tough economic time, but kids don't get do-overs.
We elected you for change, and we need to make some change within the education system.
Now, everyone agrees that educating our nation's youth is a priority, but solving our crisis brings up many complex challenges.
But in times of desperate need, which we are, you take desperate spots. And in times of crisis, this is the best time to be creative. The best time.
Sir, we need you. We need you to help us out. We need you to back us up. We need you to believe in the public system.